Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of WOOK Club. This week's show, 7/21/97, Virginia Beach Amphitheater. We thought it would be appropriate and fun to do a opening tour show since we have the start of tour happening later this week. So we thought it would be fun and appropriate to look back at something and stumbled upon this fantastic 97 summer piece. So
Well,
what do
we
you got
did
for us,
ask.
Kev? We
We
did
asked
ask.
people, and I tell you what, it was 2-1 against anything. So probably 2-1 against every other choice people made. I was glad to see Arkansas came up.
I was
So.
I was actually going to suggest that one, just like to be like, maybe we should go back and listen and see if it's really as bad as we say it was.
No, if you remember at the time, I loved the Runaway Groove. I
Yep.
thought that was so fun, and just it wasn't planned. It just happened. It was fun.
Yep.
But
Yep.
what we got tonight is the Funk Prototype, fresh off the Europe tour. They reinvented themselves over the winter, spring, whatever you want to call it, and summer Europe tours there in 97. And wow, I mean, just they were a different band, and you felt something. You were just like, well, what other shows am I going to? You know, if people had cell phones, they would have been on their cell phones reserving hotels. But just
A different
fantastic
band with a whole bunch of new songs and new, every
sounds,
and
different way of
sounds.
playing.
Yeah, and and some horns in there and some multi-instrumental body parts playing it, like, it's a hell of a show. I will say for sure. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
I mean, it's amazing where they went after this, and the next couple shows were good, but I don't think they reached the heights of this. Now, let me give you a little Virginia Beach. If you've ever been there, you know it sucks. There's a bunch of like rent-a-cops who run around, where there were at the time. I don't know. I haven't been there in a long time, but a bunch of rent-a-cops that run around. You know, it's a summer town. In the winter, it's dead, like all these resort towns are, and they have shows there. And the parking lot is just not cool to hang out in. But the next year they did Terrapin. They really seemed to like vibe with the place at this moment. And this show really, why don't we throw it up and we can jump off with, I know how excited you were about the ghost. We were talking about it. If you want to take it off.
I mean, the opening, to open with it and get 16 minutes out of it. We always talk about slow openers and set the tone openers and what's gonna, where does this lead us to go from here. This was none of this. Was just, here's our new song Ghost, and here's a 16-minute version of it that
this was the 11th. This was the 11th Ghost that they've played.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting.
Yeah, it's the perfect song to open the show. It's the perfect run song to start this run of new songs to start the show. And it's kind of funny to just get 4 in a row like that laid out in that, but it was awesome. Like, what a hell of a
I think for them, though, for them at this moment, they were the songs that they were playing all the time, because this was the 11th Dog Stole Things. Nothing special about it. Not that it's ever been anything more than a fun little play on words.
Which, again, it's funny too that even, Trey makes a joke about, if you're on tour or whatever, like, write these down now because I'm not going to say them again. But so often everybody, including me, always want to call it Dog Stole Things because the S's run together. And so it's very funny that it's Dogs Stole Things, which doesn't, and then, it's funny to me that, and we still get it wrong. I still get it wrong. And yeah. Anyway, it's fun.
So Piper, this was the 7th Piper. Now, Piper at this time was a format: long harmonic, building intro, high energy lyrics, little type 1 jamming. Boom, we're out of there.
Not even a 5-minute Piper. So like this is like what you could have heard on like the radio version or like the record version or something of it, right? Like, it does have that wonderful lead-in build, which is probably about 3 minutes of the song, right? Like, but that's what we always talk about, is like, where's my slow build Piper? Like, where's my intro Piper? And this is such a the opposite of what we talk about these days, because you get that build into it, but then you get the quick lyrics and the song's over and you're like, oh, I got my build in, but I didn't get the rest of the song. So it's really fun to listen to it in this like infancy and this like nakedness of it before it got the full jam around it and everything. But it's phenomenal, and like hearing him really kind of go deeper with the lyrics and say them more times than you usually get to, because that's all he was doing was just saying. So you got a little bit more of that. But again, you listen to this version and you're not thinking to yourself, oh man, this is going to be one of the best jam vehicles they have and one of my favorite songs
at some point, right?
Yeah, right. So I love it. I love it.
No, we get a short and sweet dirt. 7th time it ever had been played. Ginseng, short and sweet. Then we get to the real.
And Trey really likes dirt. You know, you listen to him say that he really enjoys that song. So I'm surprised that we don't get it. I guess
maybe he's got a lot of replacements.
Yeah, I guess maybe back then it got more, but it's one of those songs, even from an early stage, even in the 1.0, Trey had songs that he would latch onto. And oddly enough, it's also the ballady type song, right? Just like Still Today, that he still loves to like latch onto and
dirt
almost force upon us in places that you're like, oh, Trey, why? But like, it's been that way forever.
Right, you get 1 or 2 a year. I feel
you got to respect that process.
I've always been a Ginseng Sullivan guy, but you blink, you miss it. But really, let's talk about why this Bathtub Gin may, you may be able to put it in the ring with the Went Gin.
Oh, I think it's definitely in the ring with it. Like it's phenomenal from an early
minutes, 6 minutes longer, and not 6 wasted minutes.
No,
it's patient, groovy, and it says summer of 97 to me.
Super groovy, super like a 21-minute song in the first set is so nice, especially after you get all of these other sort of shorter versions of everything, or newer versions of everything, I guess you could say. And just Ginseng Sullivan, I love that song too. It's one of the best like little hoedown country little ones that they do, and we just don't get it enough. And like to your point, it's kind of like how we get people that bitch about what's the one that are in like Poor Heart or whatever, and we're like, it's only 3 minutes long, like you can get in and out, like don't hate on it. Like Ginseng's so great. 2 minutes long, 2.5 minutes long. You sneeze and it's over. Deal with it. Like you know what I mean? So yeah. But this gin, it's a perfect setup for the gin because it kind of gets you going and like whatever, and then you get this gin dropped into it, and it's just such a spectacular early raw feeling of this gin. Like you could really just kind of swim around everywhere in it. It's fantastic.
About 11 minutes in, right? They switch into this swampy, syncopated funk jam that, to my ears, is unlike anything that had appeared in gin before that. You know, Trey's doing his thing, doing the rhythm thing, which I wish he would do more of. Page is all over the place, but for me, Mike completely owns this version of gin, and I feel like he's the one who pushes it forward, whereas Trey is the one who pushes the Went Gin to the place of bliss.
Okay, yeah, that's a good comparison and I think description of them both, and I think that's why you kind of get this one as that little funkier sound, right? Like that little funkier feel to it, kind of because it is being led by the bass and Mike through it a little bit more. So yeah, it's a good observation. I like that.
You can work with that. And then we get the classic set closer. They didn't have Santoses there. They didn't have a bunch of other songs. You got a 0 and you liked it, and everybody was smiling ear to ear.
I did like it back then. It was like a rock. It still is, right? You just have other things that kind of get its place, like Antelope now that you love as that closer, but 0 still fills that void, and that hole is an encore, a set closer, whatever you want to place it at, and it rocks. And that 97 version of it gives you a little bit like rock and roll fish, right? Like a little bit of that extra earliness to it. So it's beautiful.
You know what's fun about this? I think the Allman Brothers, or the Brothers Band, whatever they were called, took a break right when we started this. And by the time we're done it, they should be hitting the stage again if you want to watch the rest of it. But I may have to watch Daredevil. I don't know what's going to happen to me.
And watching that first set has been great, though. I mean, I will say the crowd is a little old. Skews a little old. There's not a lot of people jamming. I was kind of surprised to see, like, they try and show the crowd, and there'd be like one person standing up and like in the row, and everyone else kind of like trying to look around. And I'm like, oh man, get
They're
them dance,
like,
people,
yeah,
get
it's
them dance.
Tuesday. What are you
Yeah, I
doing?
know, right? I gotta work. I just came from work. I gotta work tomorrow, and
All right, what else?
in my
What else
60s.
should people be watching?
Well, tomorrow night we got Live, our pre-tour version of Live. We got a lot to talk about. Coachella week 1. We got some Mayor news to talk about. We got Neil Young Minute. We got a good show right on
New
tap for tomorrow
Master
night.
Sounds, if you didn't hear, are taking a hiatus at the end of the year.
More hiatuses. It's
More
really going
hiatus
around.
news, right?
Hiatus
And then
eyes.
we're gonna have the AfterPhiSH after show, 15 minutes in
Every
or every night.
every night, and possible member hangs during set break with Kev this weekend. We'll see. So,
Right.
and
That
maybe
probably won't be doing the set breaks, but I tell you what, if people check their members, if you check Friday morning, we might try something new. So we'll see
there might
what's
be
going on.
something new Friday morning.
Like, subscribe. If you're watching this later, leave a comment. Let us know what you think of the show. If you were there, if you got any memories. I mean, I have all kinds of memories. I know at 10 a.m. we ended up at a place for breakfast that happened to serve margaritas. And it was a long afternoon in the sun in Virginia, to say the least. You want to kick us off?
Virginia Beach. Wolfman's brother. It kind of fits the show with the funk as we were just talking about, and a nice 11-minute version of it. So again, you're both sets open with solid, longer jam versions of these songs. Obviously, Wolfman's today goes insane other places, but this one was a great opening salvo, I thought, to get us into the second set. Kept that funk groove going, and again, with the rawness of it was so fantastic.
Right. They Wolfman's at this moment shows how much PHiSH was willing to really deep dive into the funk territory.
Yeah,
Since 96, the transformation of it between 96, 97, the fluidity of it. And about 6 minutes in with this one, they hit this nice Wolfman's kind of theme and then really let it take off. And we get probably, for me, the highlight section of the night with that from there on Wolfman's through to the end of Bowie.
Yeah. Well, yeah, definitely through to the end of Bowie, because that Bowie is, something spectacular for sure. It's nice to have that little drop in the like before it, kind of to set it up, but boy, dropping into it and getting it is just so classic old one too. Like, just it's so. You talk about, Bowie's not like what it used to be, and this is what you kind of define that used to be as. Like, it goes everywhere, and it, what is it, 18 minutes long. I listening to it, I swear it was longer than I felt like it was in its like late 20s, like pushing 30 for sure is what it felt like to me. But then to see it was only 18, I was like, wow, they covered a lot of ground and a lot of space in 18 minutes in this jam. Like, far out.
Jason, there will be set breaks on Sunday because T will be back, but T will be in Seattle. So, and there will be after show recaps. They just
there'll be after shows every night, and then the set breaks will be sporadic.
Probably not
I
the
think,
first 2 nights for Seattle, because you don't want to just listen to me talk. But Friday morning, check Friday morning.
Friday morning, you can listen to Kev talk.
Let's talk a little bit about Magilla. Fantastic song. They played it 100 or more times between when it debuted in 94 when it disappeared. It showed up in Germany in February of 97, right? 261 show gap. Showed up in France over a summer tour. So they'd only played it twice, and they did it here. And I'm wondering how much they just stumbled into it because they had played it 2 nights before in Europe. But it's really fantastic. So patient. What I love most about Magilla is everybody gets their little solo. Everybody falls out. There's a little bass thing. There's a little drum. It's very fun. And it's the only thing that harkens back to a lot of that jazz that they did back in the day, right? And it wouldn't appear again till 98. Then it appeared in 2000 a couple times. And 2003, they did it once, and that was it. They have not played it again. So it's been 22 years. Time for Magilla. Yeah. But Well, we had the like Piper. I think the slow build of Piper taught them a lot about Bowie's, because in '97 through the winter tour, all of them had these 4 or 5 minute long, beautiful intros that just, kind of floated and floated. And this one was just simply fantastic because they did hit the song proper for a little bit, but then they took it back out there with things that were based on the song until they finally drop it in for the best 90 seconds in rock and roll when Trey hits the end of that. My
Totally.
God.
Like the drop back in is spectacular. Like where the distance it travels in between those places though, from like getting into the jam and then dropping back into the jam is just incredible in this.
Bring back the Bowie intro, man. I don't care what else you do. You can keep the Piper.
Right? Because we're never getting it back anyway. So you might as well like give us at least, yeah, I agree.
Right. Is this not probably one of the more solid versions of Waiting in the Velvet Sea? A song that I am, I'm not in the fan club for. I wouldn't put it on my top 50 list. Let's put it that way. But this one was really strong. And I feel like Trey took it as a chance to do some really pretty stuff.
Agreed. Yeah. It's not always one that, I don't know, you're thrilled to, especially when you have sort of that theme.
It has that Coventry thing though, that people love it because of Coventry.
Yep. Why not? Right. But and then you get the jam, right? The theme and the jam. And normally I'm like, again, the same thing with waiting. It's sort of like waiting into a theme. I'm just kind of
I would
like,
rather hear Strange Design, I think.
You're kind of like, okay, like waiting and theme, great. But like this theme was 20 minutes of
weirdness,
chaos. Weird. I was gonna say, like,
I tell you what, for most of it, the theme is pretty good. Then when they start to do the multiple jam, it almost goes into an like unrehearsed split open and melt kind of thing.
Yeah.
My problem with a lot of the jam but the thing with a lot of the jam is because they have the saxophone, it's more a blues vamp than it is type 2 or funk or whatever else was going on at the moment, which is fine. I love that they brought LeRoi out. I feel like he added a lot of color and texture to, and the song that they picked was Theme, which you could see Funky Bitch having a saxophone, but
right. Well, I'll tell you, yeah, it made me instantly like think of the classic, the greatest performance with a horn, like Branford playing with the Dead, right? Like you just get that sound because all of a sudden you have this added element to it. So it's kind of in that zone with theme. I was like, okay, it's not like that Eyes that everyone, but it has a similar element to it, and it's not quite the song I would have picked for them to do with him, but it really works. And LeRoi's awesome. Like, and then when he starts goofing around and puts the other thing in his mouth, and then Trey gets 3 guitars and Page is like sprawled out across everything. It is so PHiSH to me though. Like that is so playful PHiSH silliness, awesomeness, and it had to be so fun to be there and see, right? Like to see them goofing around like that.
Trey made some comment around that time. There was a Rolling Stone or a Relics article when he was talking. He's like, I looked over and Page was up on all 4 keyboards with his feet in the air, and LeRoi had 3 saxophones in his mouth. And, so I think it was just, I guess you have to talk about that. What if we all played multiple instruments? That would be funny. And then it ends up actually happening.
Right. Right. And so, yeah, it cracked me up, and it's just so PHiSH. Like, it's just so PHiSH.
This whole summer, the Deer Creek show, if you find the 8-3 show, I believe from this summer when they do the City's Good Times, Bad Times, they did that rotation jam that ended up in Rocco William. And I think that's part of the Europe legacy. They learn these things as an exercise.
Right. Right. Yes, you can see that. And then they just kind of expanded it out onto stage, which, again, opening night too, so much fun. Like so much fun. It just kind of sets that tone for the entire tour that it's going to be. Yeah. And I mean, you throw horns in there. I wish they had used him more because it's awesome. And this song is just so much fun. It's like, yeah, it's great. And then, so as you kind of mentioned, they got away from a little bit of the funk in this one because you had the jazz and sort of the bluesy sound with LeRoi playing. but then you get right back into the funk with Funky Bitch.
Which is a great choice. I used to call that song I would write on tapes "Low Down Dirty Shame" when I first started.
I had tapes that said that on there, actually. That's funny. And it's also interesting because, I mean, Theme can be a second set song, but I feel like Funky Bitch is really staple of the first set. So it's weird to see it so deep in the second set back then, too. You know,
a little laid back, left enough room, you know,
right?
LeRoi. Yeah. And then, I mean, this Slave is an exceptional specimen when it comes to looking at this song. I think that it should be in more conversations if people have conversations about the best slave to the traffic light.
Well, I was going to say, you know, yes, there are big Slave fans out there, and I feel like this one doesn't get talked about enough for what it is. It is a spectacular 15, almost 16-minute, perfect.
Right,
what you want out of a
these
Slave.
spaces instead of taking just like they do it now for 12 minutes, just like it was on the quote unquote album, you know, like it was originally written. They find some extra spaces in this, and this is the moment where they were pushing that in a lot of these composed songs. How do we take something that's composed and basically has to be played like it is and open it up?
Yeah, yeah, completely. And what came out of this one is just, it's funny because that song has so many, you know, like similar, like the opening, and then when it comes back in, you know, you recognize things, and sometimes you get lost in the middle section because it can just get so beautiful, and you're waiting for that build to come back.
It's a very cathartic
song. And so you just kind of get into it. But when there's a really special one or ones that stand out, it really makes it, and you're like, oh, there's a lot really happen. It's not just a regular start, let's build to that build moment. Everything's pretty beautiful in there, and then you end it. Like this one really had, to your point, a lot of things going on in those spaces that made it extra special, which was a fabulous way to close this show with everything you'd already experienced going in through that into this. So yeah,
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, for my money, if you're getting a one song encore that isn't going to be Fluffhead or something, you know, some jam, Loving Cup is, for my money, the best one song encore, like a Dead type encore. They would do Broke Down or
right.
You know,
okay.
Loving Cup is just such a kumbaya. Everybody's, you know, it's that. I feel like they really carry through the spirit of the Rolling Stones musically from that moment, not what they were doing backstage, but musically when they play it, you know?
Totally. Yes. And I feel like, yeah. And that, I mean, talk about a song that they've come to own, you know, I mean, like it's really become their song, you know, like for better or worse, it really has been. And back then it was such a treat to get it, because you're like, oh, they're one of the cover songs, like they're covering the Rolling Stones, like awesome, like it's great. Nowadays it's so much more, you get it so much more often, but it's just, it's theirs, like they've own it, and it's like, it's a great, when it's in the encore, it's in a great spot. I agree.
All right, so the must hears, I see if you agree with me, are going to have to be the Ghost, the Gin, the Bowie, the Traffic Light, and the Theme, right?
Right. I mean, if you want to have fun, that Theme for sure. And it's worth checking out just because of that jam. If you don't know they're playing different instruments, you might not really realize that when you're listening to it, because it gets a little weird, but it doesn't get so weird that you're like, oh, what the fuck is going on here?
It sounds like an unrehearsed split jam.
Right, exactly. It totally, and with the horns, it all kind of just sounds like this like discombobulated jazz jam or something. So it doesn't really ever get to a point that you're like, that's weird. But yes, I think for my money, that Bowie, that Jen, and that Slave are the biggest takeaways from this. Right. And yeah, you can throw in that Ghost, but I'd put that sort of down the list compared to the other ones, just because it opens the show, so it hadn't quite they hadn't gotten their legs under it. It's still a fabulous version, but it's not quite in that.
I guess for me, it's the audacity of it being the first song after we came back from Europe. This is what we're proud of. This is our new toy. Check it out, guys.
Right. You know? Totally. And here, and in its form, right? In 16 minutes of it, here it is. Like, here's what we've been playing with in Europe. Oh, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, totally.
This is what, if you don't like it, the door's over there. Make sure that you leave a comment, that you like, subscribe, and make sure you check us out tomorrow night. We might have some special guests.
Watch tomorrow night. Watch the after shows 15 minutes after all of spring tour. Woo, new fish this week.